The fall that changed everything. The city was alive with noise, colors, and rushing feet. Bright neon signs glowed above alien shops. Strange scents of roasted food filled the air, and voices in a dozen different languages echoed between the high walls. In the middle of this busy alien marketplace, Daniel walked with his head low. He wore the gray uniform of a supply worker carrying a box full of metal tools. His steps were tired, but his eyes still scanned the crowd. He was used to moving fast, to doing what he was told and never asking questions. That was the life of a human worker on this alien world. As Daniel moved forward, he noticed something unusual. Ahead of him, an old alien lady walked slowly with a heavy basket. Her back was bent and her long silver skin shimmered faintly under the marketplace lights. Nobody paid attention to her. She took one step, then another. Suddenly her foot slipped on a broken tile. The alien lady let out a soft cry and collapsed to the ground. Her basket tumbled over and strange round fruits rolled everywhere. The crowd flowed around her like water around a stone. No one stopped. Some aliens even looked annoyed, stepping around her as if she were just another obstacle on the road. Daniel froze for a moment. His boss's voice echoed in his head. "Don't waste time, human. Work first, always." He knew he should keep walking, but something inside him did not let him. Daniel put his box down and rushed forward. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, kneeling beside her. She looked up with tired, glowing eyes that seemed too heavy for her age. Her breathing was shallow. Daniel carefully lifted her by the arm and helped her sit on a nearby stone bench. Then he bent down and began picking up the fallen fruits one by one. A tall alien worker nearby snorted. "Foolish human," the alien muttered. "You'll regret wasting time." Daniel ignored him. He collected every fruit, placed them back in the basket and handed it to the old lady. She gripped it with shaking hands and whispered in a voice that barely carried above the market's noise. "Thank you." No one else would stop. At that moment, Daniel felt a strange warmth spread through him. Helping her was such a small thing, but it felt right. Then the warmth shattered. A harsh voice cut through the crowd. "Daniel!" His boss stormed toward him, a thick alien with 4 eyes that all glared at once. He wore the symbol of the supply guild on his chest, glowing bright red. "What do you think you are doing?" Daniel stood quickly, trying to explain. "She fell. She needed help." "You are wasting work time," the boss roared. "Do you think I pay you to play nurse for weak creatures? Humans must work harder, not stop for garbage on the ground." The crowd fell silent. Daniel felt dozens of alien eyes watching. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but his throat closed. "You are fired," the boss snapped. His voice echoed across the market. "Get out. You will never work for the guild again." Daniel's chest went cold. Fired? For this? He looked around, but no one spoke for him. The marketplace kept moving as if nothing happened. His world collapsed in seconds. The old lady's hand reached out and touched his arm. Her skin was cool and her grip, though weak, carried weight. "I am sorry," she whispered. "This should not have cost you your place." Daniel forced a small smile. "It's fine. You needed help." But his voice cracked. She reached into her cloak and pulled out a small, round object. It looked like a stone, but faint blue light pulsed softly inside it like a heart beating. She pressed it into Daniel's hand and closed his fingers around it. "Keep it safe, human. You'll need it soon." Before Daniel could ask what it was, the old alien lady stood, steadied herself, and melted into the crowd, vanishing as if she had never been there. Daniel stared at the glowing stone in his hand. The marketplace lights flickered strangely, and for a moment he felt the air itself grow heavy. He slipped the object into his pocket, his thoughts racing. Then his boss shouted again, "Get off my market, human!" The words stung like knives. Daniel picked up his box of tools, though now it felt twice as heavy, and walked away. His heart pounded with anger and shame. But above it all, there was something else. The echo of her words. "You'll need it soon." That night, as Daniel sat alone in his small room, the object glowed brighter. Its light reflected in his eyes, filling the shadows with pale blue fire. He could not understand why, but deep inside, he knew his life had changed forever. Shadows of power. Daniel woke before dawn. His small room was dark, with only a dim streetlight flickering through the cracked window. On the table beside his bed lay the strange glowing stone the old alien lady had given him. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Daniel sat up and stared at it, unsure whether to feel afraid or curious. He had lost his job. The guild had blacklisted him, and that meant no one else would hire him. In this alien city, humans already stood at the bottom. Weak, replaceable, unwanted. A black mark on his record meant permanent hunger. His chest tightened as he thought about tomorrow, about next week. How long before he couldn't pay rent? How long before he was thrown into the streets? He closed, his hand around the stone. Its light warmed his skin. A whisper echoed faintly in his head, so soft he wasn't sure if it was real or just his imagination. Not the end. A beginning. Daniel shivered and quickly put the object into his pocket. He needed food, he needed work. Magic stones and strange whispers wouldn't fill his stomach. The market was already alive when Daniel stepped outside. He walked past the stalls, avoiding the eyes of guild workers, who now looked at him with disgust. Some sneered openly. "There goes the soft human," one muttered. "Fired for playing nurse," another hissed. "Humans should learn their place." Daniel kept walking. Shame burned inside him, but stronger than shame was anger. What had he done wrong? Helping an old woman was not a crime. As he passed an alley, Daniel felt a chill. Someone was watching him. He turned his head quickly but saw nothing except shadows. Still, the feeling lingered. That night, he returned home with only a half loaf of bread. His stomach growled, but he saved half for morning. He sat on the edge of his, bed, chewing slowly, staring again at the glowing stone. The room darkened suddenly, as though the light itself had been swallowed. A shape moved in the corner. Daniel froze. Out of the shadows stepped 3 figures. They were tall, armored, with helmets shaped like the skulls of beasts. Their eyes glowed red. One of them pointed at Daniel. "The human has it." Daniel's breath caught. They were not guild workers. They were hunters. "Give us the key," the leader hissed. "Give it, and your death will be quick." Daniel's body shook, but he clutched the stone in his pocket. I don't know what you're talking about." The second hunter stepped forward, raising a long blade that shimmered like liquid fire. "Do not lie. The mark is on you now. We can smell it." Daniel's heart raced. He stumbled back, bumping against the wall. For a moment, he thought this was his end. But then the stone in his pocket flared to life. A sudden wave of energy burst out, throwing the hunters back against the walls. Sparks lit the room. Daniel's ears rang as the armored figures roared in anger. Before they could rise, a new voice cut through the chaos. "This way." Daniel looked to the window. A slim figure stood there, a young alien girl with dark eyes and silver tattoos across her cheeks. She waved quickly. "Come, human. Move before they recover." Daniel didn't think. He ran. He climbed through the window, landed on the narrow street outside, and followed her. Behind them, the hunters screamed, their armored boots shaking the ground as they gave chase. The girl moved fast through winding alleys, her steps light and sure. Daniel struggled to keep up. His lungs burned, but he forced himself onward. Behind them, he could hear the hunters closing in. Finally, they reached an abandoned warehouse. The girl pushed the door open and pulled him inside. She slammed the lock shut and leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Daniel collapsed beside her. "Who are you? Why were they after me? What is this thing?" He pulled the stone from his pocket, its glow still bright. The girl's eyes widened. "So it's true. She gave it to you." "Who? The old lady?" The girl nodded slowly. "She was no ordinary elder. She is a guardian, one of the last." That stone is the key. It carries the power of the ancient vault. Many want it. All will kill for it. Daniel's throat went dry. Vault? What vault? The girl's voice dropped to a whisper. A vault that holds the technology of forgotten ages. Weapons, knowledge, secrets that could change the galaxy. Whoever controls the key controls the future. Daniel stared at the glowing stone. The old lady's words echoed in his mind. You'll need it soon. He finally whispered, almost to himself. Why me? I'm just a worker. I'm nobody. The girl's gaze was sharp. Not anymore. You've been chosen. And now, human, fate has bigger plans for you. The chase begins. The warehouse was dark and silent, dust floating in the beams of moonlight that slipped through broken windows. Daniel leaned against the wall, trying to calm his breathing. His hands still shook, the glowing stone warm in his palm. Across from him, the young alien girl sat with her back straight, watching him closely. You still haven't told me your name, Daniel said finally, his voice rough. My name is Lyra, she answered. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp, alert to every sound outside. And I know who you are, Daniel. I was sent to find you. Daniel blinked. Find me? By who? That old woman? Lyra nodded. Yes, she's one of the last guardians. She saw something in you, something no one else did. Daniel shook his head. That's insane. I'm nobody. I was just fired yesterday. Why would she give me something this dangerous? Lyra leaned forward. Because you did something no one else would. You stopped for her when everyone else walked away. That small choice told her everything she needed to know. Daniel wanted to argue, but her words dug into him like hooks. Could it really be that simple? That one act of kindness had set all of this in motion? Before he could respond, a loud crash shook the warehouse. The metal door buckled inward, sparks flying. Daniel's heart leapt into his throat. They found us, Lyra whispered. Her hand went to the weapon at her hip, a curved blade glowing faintly with blue light. The door tore off its hinges, and 3 armored hunters stepped inside, their red eyes blazing in the darkness. The key belongs to us, the leader snarled. Hand over the human or you both die. Daniel froze, his back pressed to the wall. Lyra stepped in front of him, blade raised. You'll have to go through me. The hunters charged. The battle was chaos. Sparks lit the air as metal clashed against energy blades. Lyra moved fast, her blade cutting through the darkness, but the hunters were stronger, heavier, relentless. Daniel ducked as one swung at him, the blade slicing a chunk of stone from the wall where his head had been. Run! Lyra shouted, blocking another strike. Don't stop! Daniel bolted for the back of the warehouse, his heart pounded as he pushed through broken crates and fallen beams. The hunters roared behind him, their heavy steps shaking the floor. He reached a half-collapsed door and shoved it open, stumbling into a narrow alley. Lyra appeared beside him moments later, her blade glowing faintly in the shadows. This way, she urged, grabbing his arm and pulling him into the night. The city became a blur of stone walls and glowing signs as they ran. The hunters' voices echoed behind them, promising death. Daniel's chest burned, his legs screamed, but he didn't dare stop. They darted through markets, over broken fences, and across bridges that shook under their weight. Every corner brought new danger. Every shadow seemed alive. Daniel's only thought was survival. Keep moving. Don't let them catch you. At one point, he tripped over a loose stone and almost fell, but the glowing object in his pocket flared, suddenly sending a shock of energy through his body. It lifted him to his feet, his legs moving again as if powered by something beyond his own strength. Lyra glanced at him with wide eyes. The key is protecting you, she said breathlessly. It has chosen you, Daniel. Daniel didn't know what to say. He wasn't a fighter, wasn't a hero. Yet the stone kept him running, kept him alive. Finally, they ducked into a narrow passage beneath the old transport lines. The air smelled of rust and damp metal. Lyra slowed, pressing her ear to the wall. The hunters' voices faded into the yow. Distance. For now, they were safe. Daniel collapsed onto a broken crate, gasping for breath. Sweat poured down his face. This is insane. I can't do this. I'm not made for running from monsters. Lyra knelt in front of him, her gaze steady. You don't have a choice anymore. The moment you touched the key, your life was no longer your own. The hunters will never stop. They can smell its power on you. Daniel's chest tightened. Then what am I supposed to do? Just keep running until they catch me? Lyra shook her head. No. You must learn to use it. The key is not just a stone. It's alive in a way. It responds to will, to intent. You've already seen it protect you. In time, it will do more. Daniel pulled the object from his pocket. Its glow was brighter now, filling the tunnel with blue light. He stared at it, his mind racing. A simple act of kindness had brought him here. A simple act had changed everything. For the first time, he felt the weight of the old lady's words. You'll need it soon. Outside, in the higher levels of the city, the hunters regrouped. Their leader slammed a fist against the wall, denting the metal. The human has the key. It has chosen him. That cannot be allowed. Another hunter growled. Then we hunt until there is nothing left of him. Their eyes glowed brighter as they spread out, searching every street, every shadow. The city would not sleep that night. And deep in the tunnels, Daniel realized the truth. His old life was gone forever. A new path had begun. One filled with danger, mystery, and choices he never wanted to make. The forgotten vault. The tunnels were damp and endless. Daniel followed Lyra through narrow passages, the sound of dripping water echoing off the stone walls. The glowing key pulsed softly in his hand, its blue light guiding their way. Every step felt heavier, every shadow felt alive. Daniel's voice broke the silence. You keep talking about this vault. What is it, really? Lyra slowed her steps. Her eyes flickered toward the key. Long ago, before the rise of the great alien empires, there was a war no one speaks of. Entire worlds burned, and armies vanished. At the end of it, the Guardians sealed away what was left. Machines, weapons, knowledge that could shape the galaxy. That is the vault. Daniel frowned. And you're telling me this little stone opens it? Lyra nodded. Yes, the key is more than it seems. It responds only to the one it chooses. She stopped and looked at him sharply. And it chose you, Daniel. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Why me? I'm not special. I was just a worker. You stopped for her, Lyra said simply. When the world ignored her, you didn't. That was enough. They reached a wide chamber beneath the city, its ceiling so high Daniel could barely see it. The walls were carved with ancient symbols that glowed faintly when the key came near. Daniel felt the hair on his arms rise. This place, he whispered. It feels alive. Lyra placed her hand on one of the walls. The Guardians built many hidden paths like this. All of them lead toward the vault. But we must move quickly. The hunters will not stop. They know where we are going. Before Daniel could reply, a deep rumble shook the chamber. Dust fell from above. He looked around nervously. What was that? Lyra's eyes hardened. They are already breaking through. They hurried onward, crossing bridges of stone that hung over black chasms. Daniel's legs trembled as he looked down into the endless dark. He clutched the key tightly, feeling its warmth steady his steps. As they reached another tunnel, Lyra suddenly raised her hand. Stop! Daniel froze. Ahead of them stood 3 towering machines, shaped like armored statues. Their eyes glowed green, and the air hummed with power around them. Guardians, Lyra whispered. Protectors left behind to watch the path. Daniel swallowed hard. They don't look friendly. The machines moved, stepping forward with a sound like thunder. Their weapons lit up with crackling energy. Run! Lyra shouted. The chase, through the tunnels, was worse than before. The machines were fast, their heavy steps shaking the ground. Beams of green light shot past Daniel, scorching the stone walls. He stumbled, almost falling, But the key flared again, forming a shimmering shield around him. Lyra fought back with her blade, cutting through one of the machine's legs. Sparks exploded and the machine crashed down, blocking the tunnel. But the other two kept coming. Daniel's chest burned, his lungs screaming, but he didn't stop. He followed Lyra as she darted into a narrow passage. The machines were too large to follow, their roars echoing in frustration. Finally, they collapsed in a small cavern, both gasping for breath. Daniel held the key in front of him, its light brighter than ever. Lyra stared at it, her voice trembling. "It's waking. The vault is calling to you." Daniel shook his head. "This is too much. I didn't ask for this. I just wanted a job. A normal life." Lyra leaned closer. "You cannot turn away now. The vault will only open for you. And if the hunters get it first..." She didn't finish the sentence, but her silence was enough. Daniel imagined planets burning, cities falling as they rested. Daniel felt the key vibrate in his hand. Images flashed in his mind. Vast halls filled with towering machines, ships resting in silence, and strange symbols carved into walls of light. He gasped and dropped the stone, but it floated in the air, glowing even brighter. "What's happening?" he whispered. "The vault is showing you the way," Lyra said. Her eyes widened with awe. "It has begun to trust you." The stone spun slowly, then shot forward into the tunnel ahead, leaving a trail of blue light. Daniel and Lyra exchanged a glance. She nodded. "Follow it." They ran after the glowing trail, deeper and deeper into the forgotten tunnels. Finally, they emerged into a massive cavern. At the far end stood a door taller than any building Daniel had ever seen. It was made of black stone and metal, carved with strange markings that glowed faintly like stars. Daniel's breath caught. That's the vault." Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, and it waits for you." But before they could take another step, voices echoed from behind. The hunters had found them. Their armored forms appeared in the cavern entrance, red eyes burning with hunger. "Human!" the leader roared. "The key is ours. The vault will be ours." Daniel clutched the glowing stone, his heart pounding. The old lady's words came back to him louder than ever. "Keep it safe. You'll need it soon." He realized this was the moment she had warned him about. Betrayal in the dark. The vault's black doors loomed over Daniel, silent and cold, their markings glowing faintly like dying stars. The key pulsed in his hand, and for a moment the hunters at the cavern's edge did not move. They only stared, their red eyes locked on him. Lyra pulled Daniel behind a fallen pillar. Her voice was sharp and quick. "We can't fight them here." "Not yet." Daniel's heart hammered. "Then what do we do?" Before Lyra could answer, figures appeared from the shadows on the other side of the cavern. A small group of aliens stepped forward. 3 men and 1 woman, each armed with blasters and blades. Their clothes were worn, but their eyes burned with purpose. One of them, a scarred man with a broken horn, raised his hand. "Don't shoot. We're not hunters. We fight against them." Lyra tensed, her blade raised. "Rebels." The scarred man nodded. "Yes, we've been waiting for this moment for years. The vault cannot fall into hunter hands. We will help you." The rebels opened fire. Blaster bolts lit up the cavern, striking the hunters and forcing them back. Lyra joined the fight, her blade cutting through sparks of red light. Daniel stayed low, clutching the key, his heart pounding as the air filled with the screams of battle. The hunters roared, fighting with brutal strength. But outnumbered, they finally retreated into the tunnels, promising they would return. Their voices echoed like thunder. The cavern fell silent except for the crackle of weapons cooling down. Daniel slowly stood. His legs shook. His ears rang. He looked at the scarred man. "Who are you?" Daniel asked. The man smiled grimly. "My name is Karoth. We are what's left of the resistance. For years we've fought in the dark, waiting for the key to return. And now..." He looked at Daniel with a strange hunger in his eyes. "Now it's here." They set camp inside the cavern. Fires burned low, and shadows stretched long across the stone. Daniel sat close to Lyra, whispering. "Do you trust them?" he asked. Lyra's jaw tightened. "Not fully, but we need them. Alone, we won't survive the hunters. With them, maybe we have a chance." Daniel nodded slowly, though unease crawled through him. Karath and his rebels had fought hard, but there was something cold in the way they looked at the key. Later that night, Daniel wandered to the edge of camp, staring at the vault's great door. He held the key up and the markings glowed brighter. For a moment he felt it calling to him, whispering words he could almost understand. A voice broke his thoughts. "It sings to you, doesn't it?" Daniel turned. Karath stood there, his scarred face half in shadow. His eyes gleamed with a strange intensity. Daniel swallowed. "It's powerful, but I don't know how to use it." Karath stepped closer. "You don't have to. You're only a worker, human. You've done enough just by carrying it here. Let us take it from here. Let us open the vault." Daniel tightened his grip on the key. "The old lady gave it to me. She said to keep it safe. She didn't choose you." For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy between them. Then Karath smiled. But it was not a kind smile. "You're braver than you look, but bravery without wisdom is suicide." The betrayal came fast. When the camp slept, Daniel woke to rough hands grabbing him. He struggled, but Karath's rebels pinned him down. Karath himself stood over him, his hand outstretched. "Give me the key, human," he growled. "You don't know what it holds. With it, we can burn the hunters out of the galaxy. We can rule what they once ruled." Lyra woke at the sound of the struggle. Her blade flashed as she lunged forward, but one rebel fired, knocking her back with a blast to the shoulder. She fell with a cry of pain. "Lyra!" Daniel shouted. Rage flared in him like fire. The key answered. Blue light exploded from his hand, throwing the rebels back like rag dolls. Karath staggered but did not fall. His eyes widened in shock. "So, it has bonded to you already." Daniel stood, the key hovering above his palm, its glow filling the cavern with a brilliance that drowned the fires. His voice was steady now. "It's not yours, Karath, and it never will be." Karath snarled and rushed forward with his blade, but the key pulsed, forming a shield of shimmering energy. Karath's strike bounced off harmlessly, sparks flying. Daniel's chest heaved. For the first time, he didn't feel weak. For the first time, he felt chosen. The rebels scattered, some fleeing into the tunnels. Karath glared at Daniel one last time, fury twisting his scarred face. "You don't know what you're holding, human, but soon you will beg to give it up." Then he vanished into the darkness. Silence fell again. Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted, the key dimming in his hand. Lyra crawled to him, her wound bleeding but not fatal. She looked at him with fierce pride. "You did it. The key listened to you." Daniel met her gaze, still shaking. "I don't want this power. I never asked for it." "But it asked for you," Lyra whispered. "And now, there is no turning back." Behind them, the vault's markings glowed brighter than before, as if responding to Daniel's choice. The great door rumbled softly, like a beast stirring from its sleep. The vault awakens. The cavern was silent after Karath and his rebels fled. Only the sound of dripping water and the faint hum of the glowing key filled the air. Daniel stood in front of the giant vault door, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. The markings on the black stone pulsed brighter than ever, answering, the light in his hand. Lyra leaned against a broken pillar, holding her injured shoulder. Her face was pale, but her eyes never left Daniel. "The key has chosen you. It listens to your will. That's why Karath couldn't take it from you." Daniel looked down at the stone floating above his palm. "But why me? I don't understand. I'm not special. I'm not a soldier. I'm not even brave." Lyra gave a faint smile. "You are wrong, Daniel. Sometimes the bravest choice is the one no one else makes. You stopped for her when the world ignored her. That was enough." Her words settled heavy in his heart. He looked back at the vault. The massive doors seemed alive now, their symbols shifting like stars in the night sky. The key vibrated faster, pulling him closer. He stepped forward slowly. With each step, the cavern trembled, as if the vault itself was waking from a long sleep. Daniel raised the key and the light spread across the door, tracing the ancient carvings. The air grew heavy. A deep sound echoed through the stone, low and powerful, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the ground shook. Daniel's pulse raced. He whispered to himself, "Please, let me do this right." The key floated from his hand and pressed itself into the center of the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire cavern lit up with blinding blue light. The vault opened. The black doors split apart with a roar, grinding slowly against ancient gears. A gust of cold air swept out, carrying with it the scent of dust and time. Beyond the doors lay a vast hall, larger than any city Daniel had ever seen. Rows of massive machines stretched into the distance, their shapes strange and powerful. Some looked like ships, others like weapons, all sleeping in silence. The floor was lined with glowing symbols, and the walls pulsed faintly, as if alive. Daniel stepped inside, his eyes wide. This is impossible. Lyra followed, limping slightly, her gaze filled with awe. This is the legacy of the Guardians. This is what the galaxy feared. It has been waiting for you. As they walked deeper, Daniel felt the key humming inside him, though it no longer floated in his hand. It was as if the energy had sunk into his very blood. A voice whispered in his mind, soft, ancient, but clear. "Welcome, human. You carry the mark, authorized." Daniel stopped cold, his breath caught. "Did you hear that?" he asked Lyra. She shook her head. "I heard nothing." The voice came again, stronger this time. "Human bloodline recognized. Access granted." Daniel's heart pounded. Human bloodline? What did that mean? He turned slowly to Lyra. This place, it was made by humans, long before us, long before anyone remembers. Lyra's eyes widened. "Are you saying your people built this?" Daniel nodded slowly, his mind spinning. Or maybe they were more than anyone knew. A sudden boom shook the vault. The doors behind them slammed shut, and the hall echoed with metal footsteps. The hunters had returned. Dozens of armored figures poured into the chamber, their red eyes blazing brighter than ever. Their leader stepped forward, his voice like a growl. "So this is the vault, and the human has opened it. Good. We will take it from here." Daniel's stomach turned to ice. There were too many of them. He and Lyra could never fight them all. Lyra raised her blade anyway, defiance in her eyes. "We don't run now, not here." Daniel felt the key's power burning inside him, stronger than ever. He clenched his fists and blue light sparked across his skin. For the first time, he wasn't just carrying it, he was part of it. The machines in the hall stirred. One by one, their eyes lit up with the same blue glow as the key. Giant weapons hummed, engines whirred, and shadows of forgotten ships loomed above. The vault was waking, answering Daniel's presence. The hunters froze, their steps faltering. For the first time, fear flickered in their red eyes. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady, though his body trembled. "This is not yours. This was never yours. The vault belongs to humanity." The hunters roared in fury, raising their weapons. And then the vault came alive, energy surged across the floor, forming glowing shields around Daniel and Lyra. Ancient machines unfolded their arms, aiming weapons at the hunters. The entire hall shook with power, as if the past itself had risen to protect its chosen heir. Lyra gasped, staring at Daniel with disbelief and awe. You command it." Daniel felt the key burning in his chest, filling him with strength he didn't understand. His fear had not disappeared, but it no longer controlled him. For the first time, he realized the truth. He wasn't running anymore. He was standing where fate wanted him to be. Fate's bigger plan. The vault thundered with life. Ancient machines rose from their slumber, their eyes glowing the same blue light that pulsed in Daniel's chest. The hunters roared, their red eyes burning brighter as they charged forward. The cavern became a battlefield of past and present. Daniel stood in the center, the key floating above his palm again. Energy crackled around him, forming a shield of light. Lyra stood at his side, her blade ready, her face pale but determined, despite her wounds. "Daniel," she said softly, "it's all you now. The vault listens to you, not to me, not to anyone else." Daniel swallowed hard. He was terrified, but deep down, something else had taken root, resolve. He lifted the key high and the machines obeyed. The first wave of hunters stormed in, blades raised, guns blazing, but the ancient machines fired back. Beams of blue energy tore through the darkness, striking the hunters down. The air shook with explosions and the ground split beneath their heavy steps. Daniel raised his hand and the vault responded. A wall of energy formed, blocking the hunters' advance. He clenched his fist and one of the giant machines unleashed a blast that sent their leader flying back. For the first time, the hunters hesitated. Their growls turned to shouts of anger, then to fear. Lyra stared at Daniel with awe. "You're not just carrying the key anymore," she whispered. "You are the key." The leader of the hunters staggered to his feet, his armor cracked, his voice filled with rage. "You think you have won, human? The galaxy will never bow to your kind. Again!" Daniel stepped forward, the key blazing like a star in his hand. His voice was steady, strong. "I don't want the galaxy to bow. I only want it to remember what humanity is capable of." The vault answered his words. The machines roared in unison, their weapons glowing brighter. The hunters broke, fear finally driving them back. They retreated through the tunnels, their leader dragging himself into the shadows, his voice echoing with hate. "This is not the end, human. We will return." Then silence. Only the hum of the vault remained. Daniel collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The light around him dimmed and the key sank gently back into his chest, where it pulsed like a second heartbeat. He looked up at the towering machines, their eyes watching him, waiting. Lyra knelt beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. "You did it. The vault is awake, and the galaxy will never be the same." Daniel's chest tightened. He thought of the old lady in the marketplace, her trembling hand pressing the key into his palm. "Keep it safe. You'll need it soon." She had known this would happen. She had known his fate. He whispered, "I was fired for helping someone. And now?" He looked around the vast hall filled with humanity's forgotten power. "Now, I might decide the future of everyone." Days later, word spread like fire. Whispers passed through alien markets, through guild halls, through war councils. "The human has opened the vault. The human commands the machines." Some laughed in disbelief. Others trembled in fear. But all knew one thing. Humanity was no longer weak, no longer forgotten. In the vault, Daniel stood at the center of the ancient hall, Lyra at his side. The machines waited, silent but alive, ready to move at his command. "What happens now?" Lyra asked quietly. Daniel looked at the glowing symbols, at the endless rows of ships and weapons, at the future waiting to be shaped. His jaw tightened. "Now we prepare. The hunters won't stop, others will come, but this time, humanity won't run. This time we'll stand." Far away in the shadows of a distant world, the old alien lady, the Guardian, watched from a hidden chamber. Her glowing eyes softened as she whispered to herself, "It has begun. The boy who stopped to help has become the man who will change the stars." Her voice trembled with both sorrow and hope. Fate chose well. Back in the vault, Daniel placed his hand on one of the massive machines. Its surface glowed beneath his touch, and its engines rumbled faintly as if recognizing him. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of destiny pressing on his shoulders. He wasn't just a worker anymore. He wasn't just a human who had lost his job. He was something more. The key had chosen him for a reason. Daniel lifted his gaze to the endless machines and whispered, "If this is my fate, then I'll make it count." And as the vault's lights flared brighter, filling the darkness with blue fire, the galaxy trembled, because one human, once powerless, now carried the future in his hands.